Oh, she did not. She did not just look at that reporter with that face and ask, "How y'all know we had a meeting?" And they said, "Sophie told US," and she just went, "Oh, that's it." Just, oh. No damage control, no spin. Just the quiet devastation of realizing your most honest teammate already gave the whole press corps a full debrief before you even sat down. Welcome to Street Hoops. I'm Dre Fiver, and today we are going all the way inside the burning house that is the Indiana Fever right now. The team meeting, the dirty laundry, the turmoil, the coaching questions, the front office pressure, all of it. And we're going to be brutally, unapologetically honest about what it all means because somebody has to be, and it's clear the Indiana Fever organization would prefer that nobody was. Let's get it. Let me start with the moment that sparked everything, the moment that turned a 2-hour emergency meeting into a national news story before most people had even finished their morning coffee. Sophie Cunningham went up to those microphones and, as she always does, told the complete and total truth. She told reporters about the team meeting. She told them they had been in that room for nearly 2 hours. She told them the Fever only have one defensive scheme right now, that she described the team as too soft, and that players who cannot execute what the coaching staff draws up simply will not play. A full internal audit, delivered live to the national media, before anyone could stop her. And the funniest, most revealing moment of that entire morning did not even come from Sophie. It came from Kelsey Mitchell, who walked up to the microphones, got asked about the meeting, and immediately wanted to know how the press already knew about it. And when they said Sophie told them, Kelsey's reaction said everything. Just, oh. A pause that contained 9 years of professional basketball experience, the wisdom of a veteran who has seen franchises fall apart, and the helpless acceptance of someone who knows their teammate is never, ever going to change, Sophie told y'all. Of course she did. But here is the thing I need you to understand before we go any further. The meeting itself, the Sophie revelations, the Kelsey reaction, that is all a symptom. The house was already on fire before any of that happened. The fire started when the Indiana Fever walked into Moda Center on May 30th and got blown out by the Portland Fire, an expansion team that did not exist 12 months ago, by 16 points. 100-84. In a game where Caitlin Clark had one of the worst statistical nights of her professional career, finishing with 6 points on 1 of 7 shooting in just 22 minutes, in a game where the entire team's defensive scheme got picked apart so efficiently, it looked like the Fire had been studying film on the Fever for years. In a game where a viral sideline moment between Clark and head coach Stephanie White, with White appearing to tell Clark to step away from the huddle, exploded across every platform imaginable within 45 minutes of the final buzzer. And then, on top of that scorched earth, the next day, the Fever's longest-serving beat reporter, Scott Agnes, publicly announced his credentials had been revoked by the organization. A man with 13 years of institutional knowledge, over 7 million views in his last 12 months of coverage, subscribers in 49 states and 83 countries cut off by email, with zero prior conversation, because he broke the story of Caitlin Clark's back issue being managed cautiously before the team was ready to say so. The national media erupted. Award-winning columnist Bob Kravitz called it minor league stuff and said it was flat out wrong. Respected voices across the sport called it bad, ridiculous, and absolutely criminal, including Jason Whitlock, who went further than almost everyone and called for a total front office reset. The Fever had managed to turn a single tactical basketball criticism into a 5-alarm media relations disaster inside 48 hours. Welcome to the big time. As the transcript I was given so perfectly put it. Welcome to the big time. Now let's talk about the team meeting itself, because I want to spend real time here, because what these 3 women said on June 2nd in front of those cameras told us more about the true state of the Indiana Fever than anything any of them said before or after. Let's start with Stephanie White. White came out and described the meeting as productive. She used words like authentic, real conversation, collaborative. She talked about naming things, identifying problems, understanding action steps. She said every person on the team is a human being with things going on, and that the goal is to help each other be the best they can be on the floor. It was measured, it was professional, it was carefully worded. And to White's credit, she did confirm the meeting was coach-initiated before becoming player-driven, which at least demonstrated she had the self-awareness to know this situation required something more than a standard film session. But here is my Dre Fiver honest read on Stephanie White's press conference. When your team is having an emergency 2-hour meeting, where players are airing their grievances and your veteran wing is breaking team news to the media before you even know she did it, saying everything is collaborative and productive and authentic is about the minimum response you can give. It answers the question without answering the question. It gives the media something to write but tells the fans nothing about what actually happened in that room. White is a smart woman. She is a former WNBA champion, a coach of the year, someone who took this team to the semifinals last season without Caitlin Clark for most of the year. I am not dismissing her credentials. But right now, in this specific moment, with this specific team, under this specific pressure, the measured, diplomatic press conference voice is not going to cut it with the people watching. They want to know if this team is okay. And nobody in that building is saying yes convincingly enough. Then there was Sophie. We have talked extensively about Sophie Cunningham on this channel over the past several days because Sophie has been the most quotable, most honest, most revealing voice coming out of Indiana right now. But let me add one more layer to what she said that I think gets overlooked. When Sophie talked about players not being able to execute defensive schemes, she was not just criticizing teammates. She was also, implicitly, raising a legitimate question about what gets installed and when and how. You had 10 schemes last year. You have one this year. That is not just a player execution problem. That is an installation problem. That is a coaching staff problem. Sophie is too smart and too loyal to say that directly, but she set it up for anyone paying attention to reach that conclusion themselves. And I think she did it intentionally. Because Sophie Cunningham understands exactly what she is saying every time she opens her mouth. She just also refuses to be fake about it. And then there was Kelsey Mitchell. And this Kelsey statement is where I want to camp out, because Kelsey said something that the whole sports world heard, but maybe did not fully process. She said they are not that great right now, word for word. The team's leading scorer, a 9-year veteran, 2025 MVP finalist, the engine that kept the Indiana Fever alive through an injury-ravaged season, looked into those cameras and said, with complete composure and zero hesitation, that this team is not that great right now. She said the goal is to always be honest about where you are, and where they are is not great. She said if there is frustration, she would rather it be now than later. She talked about how losing teaches you things about yourself, about where you are missing the mark, and that she is glad this is happening in early June and not September. Now look on the surface. All of that sounds like a veteran doing veteran things, keeping perspective, acknowledging reality, projecting forward confidence. And Kelsey deserves credit for the maturity it takes to say those things publicly without spinning them into false positivity. But hear what she is actually telling you. A 9-year veteran who has been with this franchise through its worst years and who should feel like this roster, with this star power, with this talent level, with this national attention should be competing at the highest level right now, is saying they are not that great. That is not modest. That is an honest assessment from someone who knows exactly what great looks like and is telling you they have not found it yet. And here is the layer underneath all of it that nobody wants to say out loud but needs to be said. The turmoil in Indiana right now is not just about a bad stretch of games. Bad stretches happen. Every team has them. The turmoil is a reflection of a deeper structural tension inside this franchise, a tension between the institutional identity of the organization and the unprecedented demands created by having Caitlin Clark on your roster. The Indiana Fever, as a franchise, built its culture and its processes in a specific way over many years. Coaching philosophies, front office protocols, media relationships, player development models. All of it was built in a WNBA context that, before 2024, involved a fraction of the public scrutiny, national media coverage, and fan intensity that this team now lives with every single day. And then Caitlin Clark walked through that door, and everything changed overnight. The coverage multiplied by a factor that nobody inside that building was fully prepared for. Every substitution goes viral. Every injury report gets fact-checked in real time. Every sideline conversation gets filmed from 17 different angles and dissected on 1,000 YouTube channels by sundown. Every team meeting becomes national news before the coach even knows a reporter found out about it. This is not normal WNBA operations. This is something entirely different. And the Indiana Fever organization at the front office level, at the coaching level, at the media relations level has repeatedly shown that it has not yet figured out how to operate in this new environment. The Scott Agnes situation is the clearest proof of that. When you have a situation where your franchise player's injury status is handled in a way that violates league rules and gets the organization officially warned by the WNBA, The correct response is to tighten your internal processes and communicate more transparently with the media that covers you. Instead, the Fever went the other direction. They revoked the credentials of the most experienced reporter, covering them the man who has been first on Clark injury stories, first on Aaliyah Boston's meniscus, first on the kind of inside information that fans actually want, and in doing so, they created a story 10 times larger than the one they were trying to suppress. As one media member noted at the time, filing that under bad ideas might be the understatement of the year. They just drew more attention to something they desperately wanted to disappear. Now I want to address the elephant in the room that everyone is tiptoeing around, which is the Stephanie White job security question. And I want to be precise here, because precision matters. Was White fired after the Portland game? No. Skip Bayless ran with a post from a known troll account on social media claiming she was out, and Fever beat writer Chloe Peterson shut it down within 90 minutes. White is still the head coach. Her credentials are real. She is the 2023 WNBA Coach of the Year, and she led this team to the semifinals last season without Clark for the vast majority of the year. That track record does not disappear because of a bad 2 weeks. Nobody with legitimate access to this organization was suggesting she was on the verge of being fired in the immediate aftermath of the Portland game. But, and this is a critical but, there is a version of this season where the pressure does eventually become unmanageable. When analysts with credibility and national platforms start asking whether Stephanie White is the right person for a job that may have grown beyond its original scope, that question does not just go away. When Jason Whitlock goes further than simply questioning the coach and calls for a complete front office reset, pointing to the relationships between the team's president, general manager, and head coach, as potentially creating an insular culture that prioritizes familiarity over excellence, that is a serious charge. Kelly Krauskopf, Amber Cox, Stephanie White, all connected, all intertwined through decades of women's basketball relationships. Is that a strength because of trust and shared vision? Or is it a limitation because it makes honest internal accountability harder to achieve? That question is now being asked in public, loudly, by serious people. And the way the team responds to what comes next will go a long way toward answering it. Because here is the bottom line, and I want to say this plainly so there is no misunderstanding. The Indiana Fever have the most valuable asset in all of women's professional basketball. Caitlin Clark's presence in that building, in that jersey, in that market, on that television schedule, is worth hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, brand value, league growth, and long-term investment. That is not an exaggeration. That is a documented, measurable economic reality. When she plays, arenas are sold out. When she plays, television ratings are elevated. When she plays, the entire WNBA ecosystem benefits. And when she is publicly frustrated on a sideline in Portland, when her coach is under national scrutiny, when her team's insider reporter gets fired by email, when the franchise is holding emergency 2-hour meetings in early June, all of that reflects on her brand, on the league's brand, and on the ability of this organization to build something truly great around the most important player in their history. Someone in that building needs to step up and be the adult in the room, not just in press conferences with careful language about authentic conversations and collaborative processes. Actually, structurally, operationally fix it. Fix the one defensive scheme problem. Fix the injury reporting culture. Fix the relationship with the credentialed media that has covered this franchise honestly. Fix the communication breakdowns that turn routine roster decisions into viral controversies. And most importantly, create an environment where Caitlin Clark, who, according to everyone who has ever played with or coached her, burns with a competitive fire that borders on obsessive, can channel all of that into winning basketball instead of frustrated arm gestures on a nationally televised sideline. Kelsey Mitchell said it best, and I'll leave it here. Hard times make you, or hard times break you, and hopefully, it doesn't break them. She said she is glad the turmoil is happening now rather than in September. I hear that. I respect that perspective. But turmoil in early June only serves you if you actually fix what caused it. Naming the problem in a 2-hour meeting is step one. Solving it on the court, in the front office, in the media relations department, and in the culture of this organization, that is the work that actually matters. And right now, the Indiana Fever have a very small window to do it before the rest of this league catches up to them or catches on. The house is on fire, people, Sophie said the words. Kelsey confirmed the damage. And Stephanie White better have a fire extinguisher that's bigger than a 2-hour team meeting, because the whole country is watching. That is it for today on Street Hoops. If you learned something today, If this hit different the way I know it did, smash that like button right now. Don't wait, just do it. Drop a comment below and tell me, is Stephanie White truly on the hot seat, or does she survive this turbulence and lead the Fever to a title run? Is this turmoil making them or breaking them? And does the front office need to be shaken up before this season spirals beyond repair? I want every thought, every take, every opinion in those comments right now. And if you are not yet subscribed to Street Hoops, what on earth are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, and stay locked in because the Indiana Fever drama is nowhere near its final chapter. I'm Dre Fiver, Street Hoops, no filter, no fear. No days off, we out.